Hi, this is Dave with Media Digitronics. You know, we all carry around a phone in our pocket these days, whether that be our cell phone or whether it be a pocket-sized point and shoot or even a DSLR around our neck. But in any case, we take a lot of photos and we get a lot of good ones. And that's a good thing. But the trouble is sometimes we don't know quite how to display them. So what I'm going to do today is show you how to use ScrapPage to assemble a lot of good photos onto a single page layout, something like this. There. Now, if you see what I have here, I have about 6 pictures of this young lady, and I've put them into this grid pattern here and laid it out. In this case, I laid it out in a 12 by 12 type of a format, a square format. That's because with scrapbook enthusiasts, that's quite a popular format, but it could have been an 8 by 10 just simply for printing, or it could have been one of the more compatible formats with Snapfish or Shutterfly or anything else if you're making a book. So anyway, I used a 12 by 12 for this, and I'll show you exactly how I went about doing that. So the first thing I'd want to do in order to do this project is I'd want to start a new color background. And as I say, this example, I used a square, so I'm going to stick with the square. Now, what I did here is over here in my color palette, I got a few presets already, and I'm going to pick one of them, and I'm going to use a standard texture. And in this case, I think I use this texture right here for the background. And that's what I'm doing here, is just making a background. Okay, so there, now I have my background. Now what I want to do is I'm going to add a grid. Now under add, one of the options here is to add a photo grid. And I'll pick the grid that I used, I think was this one right here. And I'm going to say, well, I'm going to stick with that same color, but I want to give it a different texture. And this time I'm going to give it this texture here. So when you see when this comes in, now the grid comes in up here in the corner. We can make it any size we want. We could completely fill the background with it if we wanted to, but I find it becomes more attractive if we leave a little bit of a space around the outside just for kind of an accent border. So the grid would now sit in here looking like this. So I'm going to add now some pictures, and in my see, I have up here in my class that I conduct, I have some pictures here, and here are 6 real nice pictures that I took of this young lady, and we'll bring these in. You'll see they all come in up here at the top, and now the thing is that we want to put them in their appropriate cells in the grid. Well, before I do that, because I want the grid to be on top all the time, rather than move each picture back individually, I'm just going to take the grid and select it and move it to the top, and I'll lock it in position because I don't want to keep reselecting it again and again. Once you have a layout or any image in the position that you want it, you can lock its position. Now you can always unlock it later, but once it's locked, you can't select it. So that's really convenient because now I can just go and start selecting these pictures, and I can move them around wherever I want them. So I'll set her about like that in this particular case. Now you see that she bleeds out of the grid a little bit. That's real simply rectified just by right-clicking. That brings up this random crop rectangle, and we're just going to set this rectangle on her right there, and we'll crop her. Okay, so now she fits under that cell very nicely. All right, so I'm going to keep going with this. Let's see, I think we had this picture down here in this corner, or in this centerpiece here. So we'll blow it up until it fits in there nicely. And again, we'll go ahead with our crop rectangle because she's bleeding out on the bottom there. And we'll just go ahead and crop that out like that. So we keep doing this. I think this one went over here in this particular area. We'll just blow that up until she fits in there nicely. And again, with the right click in order to get our crop rectangle, and we'll set that there. Go ahead and crop her. This one I think was in the center, right, or in the top center, so we'll set her somewhere in that area there like that, and we'll go up here again with the crop rectangle, and we'll crop her out. Now we'll take this one in the center, and in order to have a full facial portrait, which would be a nice thing for the center, we'll just blow her up like this. Now you can see if she already lies behind everything, I don't really need to crop it, but I'll go ahead and do it just for safety's sake. We'll go ahead and crop it like that. And we'll bring the last photo down here and blow her up here and set her something like that. And we'll go ahead and crop here real quickly. And so she fits. All right, so now we got this empty cell up here. I could have brought in another picture if I wanted, or I could do other things. Maybe just dress this up a little bit. I'll go in here and I want to go into my class thing again here, and then I have some design elements. In this design element, I have this cluster, which might be a nice thing to bring in. So I'll just size it here, rotate it around a little bit so it sits where I like it to be, and maybe something like that. All right, so now we got that. Now I'm going to add a text box, and this text box I'm just going to type in the young lady's name, and I think I'll pick a fancier font, something like Scriptina. Maybe blow her up a little bit with auto size. Maybe a little more bigger than that. Let's say about like that, and we'll bold it up a little bit and give it a color. We'll stick with the same color scheme, but I'm going to go down to a darker burgundy, I think, for the text here. And we'll just say, let's rotate the text and set it about like that. Okay, so now we've got her name in there. The other thing I could do, if you want to put some journaling on this so that you know where or the story behind these, I could have put journaling up here in place of my layout, or I could put it in any one of these cells that I wanted to. Let's just pick this one and turn it off. Over here you see this little checkbox, and if I check that off, that one goes off. I can always bring it back in again, but we'll check it off for right now. And I'm going to add another text box, and this text box is going to sit down in this area here, and you can see that it comes in. I have this blank here. To save time here, I've already got this some text to stick in here. I'm just going to copy and paste it. So. And rather than type all this in, but you get the idea that if you simply type in whatever you want here, I'm going to left justify it, and I know that the 48's going to, well, I also want to give it a font that's more readable than Scriptina, so let's give it Arial. So you can see the 48's way too big. I can tell it, hey, I would like to auto size it, and maybe I'll move it sound something like this. Actually, I think it would be even a little bit better if it was maybe a size of a 20 font or so. So we'll blow it up to something like that, and then tell it, okay, you sit right there. All right. Now, there we got our journaling in there with, now in this case, 5 pictures of the young lady, a little decorative design element here, and her name. Now, if I didn't want that font, of course, I could turn the font off, or I could turn that journaling off and turn her picture back on again. In any case, when you get all done with it, whatever you want, you just go up and you tell it to high-res render, so it's going to look like when it's fully rendered out, and what it would print to, and that's what it would look like. And so you got the layers over here. You can adjust them any way you want. If you decide that you want one of these to be a little bigger, for instance, maybe we take this one and we say, hey, let's make that just a little larger than what it was. Again, we can do the cropping, and we'll select that part of it that we want, and now it's a little larger than it had been. So the design freedom is there for any and all to use. It's very simple to do, as you can see. You can arrange the pictures in any order that you want, and what you wind up with is a very nice layout that could be included in a scrapbook, or as I say, you could hang it on a wall after you printed it, or you could simply share it either via email with your friends and family, or post it to social media. So that's the way grids work in ScrapPage, and as I say, you get a very good-looking layout to display some very nice photos. So until the next time, this is Dave with Media Digitronics. Bye-bye.